All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today is October 19th. This is the October monthly meeting for the MCC. We will jump right into it. I'm going to start off with a status update. So I know that there has been some back and forth about the makers onboarding credits and those data credits going to 0. So what I did is I put together a tracking doc with a list of all the makers, and then we're going to just do a weekly update. Keenan's offered to take that on where he's going to track it weekly and then send the MCC like a weekly update just to see if there's anybody at 0 so that we can better track it, because I know it's getting lost in Discord a little bit. I'm also going to send out an email to manufacturers just to let them know that this is becoming a more serious issue so that we can have some more clear defined. I think last time for the last month we had discussed 5 days or a week. If it had been that long, then we would reach out to them. I think we want to be a little bit more strict because it seems like this is an ongoing issue and has been for the last like month and a half or so.
Is that document going to be made public?
It is currently just for the MCC, but I don't see any reason why it can't be public. It's the same information that you would see on Explorer. We're just tracking it on a weekly basis. So we can definitely make that public.
Okay. It might maybe a place to.
I'm going to turn my video off.
Yeah, I'm also having in and out internet. So my video will go on and off. I think if we were going to make it public, perhaps we could just put the link to it in our externally facing tracker doc so that everything is in one place.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's in the agenda notes right now, but I can definitely add it so it's easily accessible by everybody.
Cool. And thank you, Keenan, for taking that on.
Much appreciated. Okay, so to jump into the discussion notes, Nick, I think you added the first few if you want to kind of jump off here, but there was some guidance on expert witness participation and professional work for MCC members.
Yep, I'll take that. So I got a phone call or an email or something this week. I think Sophie got one as well. And I know a bunch of other members of the community did. There is a dispute between looks like a manufacturer and a distributor. The message of the phone call was from a lawyer who wanted me to serve as an expert witness. The pay on that stuff is insane. I don't really want to get in the middle of that stuff with any manufacturer distributor. Just A, as a member of MCC, and B, just personally, I don't want to be a part of that negative crap. But I thought we should at least discuss whether or not that is appropriate or inappropriate, or kind of how it shakes out. I know some of us are employees of the Helium Foundation, so maybe it's pretty clear that way. For me, I make my living with Helium and consulting, and so not being able to take that impacts my ability to earn. Now, I'm not going to take it anyway, but I wanted to bring this up as kind of, we've talked a little bit before about various hotspot manufacturers sending us free hotspots to review, and this kind of general thing, but I wanted to bring it out in the open so we all had a chance to take a crack at it. And just for context, the amount that was on offer was $1,500 an hour. And as I looked around the rest of the web, I'm pretty sure I could have charged up to $5,000 an hour. So it's not like a couple bucks. It's what I would consider an egregious amount of money for something that will definitely sway the way that you think and participate in any argument.
So I'll just.
Well, I have a question, which is. Go ahead, Sophie.
Sorry, Jeremy. All right, I'll just. Yeah, I also talked to that person, and obviously, as a employee of the foundation, I think that's a very black and white thing. It's a lot more gray for you, Nick. But I can confirm that the amount on offer was $500 to $1,500 an hour. He must have like gone up on you a little bit, Nick, because I think he talked to me first. But yeah, it is an egregious amount of money, and yeah, and it's a good topic. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, my question is totally irrelevant. My question is, do you haven't actually disclosed which side of the dispute is hiring you, and in regards to that, do you think that's what matters, is which side is hiring as the expert witness? Because if it doesn't, then you're just being asked to talk about what you know factually. right? Or you feel you really get influenced by the side that's hiring you? Because that the courts basically say the idea of an expert witness is that they shouldn't be influenced by their hiring.
Yep, I think that's a great point. So in this case, it is the distributor's lawyer who wants to hire whoever. And I think they found someone who's cheaper, certainly, than the rates that I quoted, but they said they were okay with. But Jeremy, I think the thing here is that normally in kind of expert witness land, from looking around at, my doctor buddies, is that typically there's not a direct connection. Like, the community isn't so small, right? You can find an expert witness in doctor land or the medical profession where they have nothing to do with it, and they'll never kind of come across that particular doctor, hospital, or patient in the course of their normal career. In this case, because the Helium community is still pretty small, I personally know the distributor, like a representative from the distributor, and I personally know representatives from the manufacturer. And I not only kind of personally, but professionally don't want to get involved. And I'm pretty sure everyone on this call also has those same relationships, certainly on at least one side. And so I get it, like how it's supposed to work. What is it, de jure, by laws? You're supposed to be an impartial witness. But man, you got that much money on the line. It's really difficult to be impartial. And I'm sure that there are great people out there who have far kind of stronger abilities to withstand that than me. But I know that if someone's paying me a boatload of money, it's hard to be like, yeah, this is total garbage. And I also get what they wanted me to do is set up a couple of units and confirm whether or not they're working. I think that sounds pretty, banal and pretty kind of unpersuasive on one side or the other. But I think as like the MCC folks, it's, as Sophie said, it's kind of gray. Like, if I get in the middle of that, all of a sudden I'm on the bad side of one person, on the good side of the other, and that puts me in a tight spot as an MCC member. Sophie, what do you got?
I just wanted to say, when you join a jury, this is how I think about it. When you join a jury, you are supposed to be someone who doesn't know anything about both sides of the cases. And for that reason, I think being an employee, as I said, is black and white. But as an MCC member, I think you're already influenced because you have prior relationships. Yeah. And as an MCC member, it's gray, but I would say it's a conflict of interest in the sense that you are influenced by your relationships, and you will bring that influence back to the MCC the way that you vote potentially.
Yeah, I really hear that part, is that functionally it shouldn't matter, but because the big issue is that you will know both parties, and it will affect how you act in the future after everything's all done, and that totally makes sense. So I agree. It would seem really improper. About being a juror, though, being a juror is different than being an expert witness. Like, if you're brought in as a witness in the trial, you're actually being brought in because you do know something. It would be totally different story if you're being asked to be a juror in a civil trial.
Did you finish, Jeremy?
Yeah, I don't know if I broke up there.
Okay, so I wasn't saying that being an expert witness is the same as being a juror. I don't think that, but I think if you're a witness who has prior relationships, you are going to be witnessing potentially your witnessing is going to be influenced. This is not something that is impartial. It's a lot different. Like, I told this lawyer also, I was like, I could be an expert witness, especially for $5,000 an hour. Contact me about power supplies, talk to me about electrical engineering, something like that. That is not impartial. That's like factual. This is where this lawyer was asking us in this case to be an expert witness about a manufacturer and a distributor. I'm done.
Yep, cool. And I think like the big thing here is not this particular case. Like, I'm decided that I'm not doing it for any amount of money. But what I'm looking for is that we have something on the MCC side that is a little bit more, maybe not official as far as like what you can and cannot do, because I certainly have different sponsorships that I'm going to run with different manufacturers. So I don't think it's, correct to say like, hey, we're going to take away some portion of livelihood. But just having some kind of guidance, like, hey, maybe the MCC just doesn't participate in expert witness trials between any players in the space? Yeah, Felipe, what do you got?
Yeah, my perspective on this, I see no issue in taking sponsorship from any manufacturer to do anything that is not related to our job here. But as MCC, we should stay away from anything that involves two parties of the community. For instance, if it was my perspective, my personal view, if it was a manufacturer that wanted to hire a member of the MCC to be an expert witness or an advisor or whatever in any technical issue that doesn't involve a conflict with other member of the community, that's one thing. Okay, to assist in how to do an FCC certification, whatever. If it's to assist in anything that doesn't involve a conflict in the community, that's one thing. I don't see any conflict of interest. But as we help regulate the community, whatever involves a conflict, in this case, it's a manufacturer and a distributor from the helium community against each other, then for me, it's a clear conflict of interest, and all MCCs should stay away from that.
I have an opinion on that.
Go for it, dude.
So I have been approached by manufacturers in the past for that very issue, for expertise in like, oh, how can we set things up? How can we? What's the track to get through the FCC certifications and things like that? We'd like to bring you on as a consultant to do that. And I flat out refused and said that would be a conflict because I'm developing a relationship with a manufacturer, and it's a professional one. It's one in which I get paid by them to do something, and that does create the perception that I'm related to them somehow. So that I would feel uncomfortable about. It doesn't even have to be between two members of the community, but relating to the manufacturer in a professional capacity in which you're being paid for services to them, that makes me feel uncomfortable because I don't like how it appears. And in the past, I have turned things down for that very reason.
Yeah, I mean, fair, but again, like everybody's got a different position, right? If you're an employee of the Helium Foundation or Nova, it's pretty clear where your paycheck comes from, and I don't know, maybe totally transparently, you can afford to be like, no, I don't need that. For me, like I make my living on those sponsorships and marketing and consulting pieces, so I took those before I became a part of the MCC. When I think we talked about this a while ago when I came in, I was like, hey, I'm concerned about this because some of these people will, as a great example, Rack Wireless is sponsoring this mapping project for helium in the wild over the next for this trip to Europe. Helium Foundation is kind of covering the cost for the trip itself, but Rack Wireless said like, hey, we want to contribute a bunch of devices. Technically, that's I don't know, like whatever it is, $1,000 worth of devices to Gristle King / Helium Foundation. I'm not going to say no to that, and that I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that other than to say that should exist. And we got to think about how we deal with it, and not say like, no, there's no sponsorships or no interactions between. I think it really depends on your position kind of outside of the MCC as well.
So is there something where we maybe want to add like a small section to the MCC charter specifically around some guidelines if it's like between two conflicting parties, which is the first topic that we were kind of discussing?
Sure. Yeah, I typed in some notes there based on what Felipe said. I think if we want to clean that up a little bit and put that in there, that seems pretty reasonable, is that MCC members don't stand as like arbiters or experts between two conflicting parties outside of our MCC duties. So if we have where we had like the problems with Panther or Deeper, sure, like that's our job. But outside of that, if person X or entity X wants to legally go after entity Y, like we shouldn't be the ones that are a part of that as experts, just as being on the MCC.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that's reasonable.
Cool. So then that goes on to the second thing, which is compensation for members, is what I saw is that for some of us more than others, there's a lot of time that gets put into this. Some folks are employees of either Nova or the Helium Foundation, so that makes it so they can kind of write into their job description, whether that's Keenan or Jeremy or Sophie, like, hey, this is what I'm doing as well. I'm sitting on the MCC as part of it, and whether you do that or not, that's kind of your problem, or your decision. But for those of us who aren't doing that, I've been kicking this around. I'm not really sold on it or not, but I think as new members come into the MCC, it'd be nice if we said like, hey, there's some kind of like honorarium or whatever you want to call it. And it's not a huge thing. You wouldn't expect to live on this, but it's like, yeah, you're participating here. You're giving your time up. You're contributing your time. Is that's worth something? And not to say it's a full-time gig, but I think something about that makes sure that we get folks in here who are not only volunteering, but are making sure that they're getting taken care of a little bit. And I'm open to be totally wrong on that. Like, yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
I loved the idea, and I think we would just be petitioning the foundation for essentially grants of some sort. That would be the best structure that may have been talked about. Certainly recognize it is a lot of effort. I've definitely been appreciative that it's been a part of my job as an employer. It carves out time so that I really can dedicate to.
Dig it. Felipe, anything on that? Because I think you and I are in the two on the call in that position, I think. I don't think you're a foundation or Nova employee.
No. Totally volunteer. It's like this. Yes, the volunteers act out of goodwill and for the community. I won't ask for any money to do this job and to assist. But yeah, I believe that if even for the future members, when we phase out, all of us will eventually phase out, and to attract even expert members, etc., to be able to allocate more time, take time, particularly those that are self-employed and basically they get what they work for. It might be a good way to attract and maintain and how do you say it, reward and the effort done. Yes, I won't say it's necessary, but it would definitely be very nice. I would consider it very nice, and it would assist to even allocate more time to the work being done here and being able to put other things aside. Yes.
I'm kind of the agreement from that. I know that I'm just a foundation employee, but I do also think that there is a significant amount of time that is put in from the members that I super appreciate that. But I think it would be nice to recognize that as well with possibly a grant or something for the members.
Yeah, I also agree with Christina as an employee, but I recognize that we are all, the MCC is volunteer run and we're putting in a significant amount of time. And so with that in mind, I think perhaps Christina, myself, and Jeremy could spearhead figuring out what that grant might look like. Unless, Nick, you have some ideas and you want to run it through the grant and write a proposal for it.
I don't have an idea on number. I think kind of like Felipe, like I don't want to ask for it, even though I'm asking for it. I think it's really important for, I mean, our time is already kind of sunk. It's already in there. That's there. I want to make sure that the new members are taken care of. I don't know that I like it as a grant.
Perhaps it's a
That's probably the wrong word for it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think like a stipend, and I would like to see it structured around probably meetings attended.
Yeah, it could be a quarterly stipend, and this is what the request is for.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I mean, like people, yeah. I mean, I think it's not just the meetings, but yes,
right.
It's incentive for the meetings. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think on that agenda, Nick, I think the action item is for me, Christina, and Jeremy to see what we can, what's reasonable.
Yep, totally.
Next item.
Okay, so the next item is something that's currently ongoing. We can kind of just discuss briefly, but it's about the new candidates for the MCC. I know that there was a meeting yesterday with interview for one. I know we have 2 more set up later today. This is on the agenda, but this might be something for us to discuss after all of the interviews have gone through. But if anybody has anything they want to add.
Just a reminder, everyone, we've been recording the interviews so that everyone here can watch them later.
Yes, yeah,
The
they
more
are
we
being
participate,
recorded.
the
Yeah.
better.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm on mute. I just, the recording was put into the Discord. I would just like to request that we move on this voting pretty quickly. So this can happen even ad hoc. We have several interviews for today and for next week. I think we wrap them all up. Ideally, we could vote quickly.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, from my part, some of the meetings are in the dawn time, but I'll look at the ones that I cannot attend. I'll look at the recordings and try to give a feedback immediately.
Felipe, what time is convenient for you?
For instance, right now it's 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. here in Portugal. So
Okay.
up until 10 p.m. Would be here, would be okay. But some of them are like 2 a.m. It makes it way harder.
Yep. No, I'll keep that in mind.
So
Are you-
so I think your early morning.
No, I'm in the afternoon. I'm in New York.
Yeah,
So-
Pacific early morning.
Right now it's what 10 a.m. there.
Yeah, it's 10:30 in San Diego Pacific time right now.
Hello,
1
I think
p.m.
I'm breaking up. Right now, what time is there?
It's 10:30 a.m. on the Pacific
Okay.
coast, and then in New York, it's what is it, 1:30 p.m., Sophie?
Yeah, so a little bit earlier or later than this time is perfect, but I'll try to adapt either way. You know, I'll do my best.
Cool. One more thing, and I know I've missed a bunch of those. Most of those folks I actually know, and I'd suggested that they apply for the MCC. So I don't know. I don't know if I should recuse myself or not. I think they're going to be good candidates. But just making sure that those calls are 15 minutes or less, right? We're just getting the vibe on them. We've already looked at their stuff. I don't know that we need to go super deep, and that makes it really easy for all the members who can't make those calls to go back and watch them and not have to watch like an hour-long interview.
That's great feedback. Yeah, I thought yesterday's call went a little long. Apologies. So, yeah, I'll change the ones that we have coming, or perhaps I'll just say something at the beginning. Yeah.
Let the record know Jameson has joined.
Welcome, Jameson.
Oh man, I timed that wrong.
All
All
right.
right,
no-
so- Go
yeah.
ahead, Christina.
Looks like the next order of business is, and this is something that we've kind of discussed, but I think it would be really helpful if we can put this down writing at it if the MCC wants to make a few points, and then I can go through and add it into the charter. But, and Jeremy, this is probably something that you could be helpful on is helping us define like the new chairperson role for the MCC. What are those responsibilities look like? What does somebody need to have for those qualifications? We've discussed this a little bit, but I think really making like a bullet point of what those responsibilities are so that the person going into that role is aware of what they need to be doing.
Yeah, that's an easy ask. I don't know if I'm still audible, but I'm
Yeah, we can
on
hear
board
you.
with it. Okay. Did you catch that I was great? Yes, totally for that.
Yeah, you just said that it was an easy ask. Basically, we're asking you to hire yourself out of a job and then make sure that it's pretty clean for the next person. I think the problem that we've all got is that we've said that it should be someone on the MCC who does that next, but no one on the MCC is either kind of qualified or interested or able to do the next thing. So we're stuck there. And I think it might be pretty interesting to say, hey, we drop that requirement and bring someone else in who we bring in as more like a, I don't know, professional chairman versus coming up through the ranks.
Exactly. So I think documenting, putting on the bullet points of what we think we need. I'm not going to do it based on what it has been. Again, I'm going to aim for what we need.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, it just kind of, I think that's what we're looking for, is just like a bullet point of the needs and the responsibilities of what the MCC chairperson should be.
Yeah, and mostly focused on the function itself and not what Jeremy has been doing. Because one thing is all the things that Jeremy does, and a part of it is what Jeremy does as the chairperson. So the goal would be to document that function only, because I'll be honest, none of us can step in the big shoes that Jerry has with all the.
But it's not required that you do all the things exactly. So it really
precisely.
Should be
So it would be important to know the job description for that, and then we can start looking for people to fit those shoes.
I mean, the proposal right now is to find someone to be the interim chair for 3 months while we onboard some new members to get Jeremy out. I mean, we don't want to lose you, Jeremy, but it's been a long time. So
freed up is what the term I would like to use.
Thank you, Jeremy. Sorry about that.
Get him out.
Get him out. Yeah, to free Jeremy up so that Jeremy can move on to other things, and just so that we have an interim chair. And so we've got some of the members of the MCC right now, we potentially will become the interim chair while we interview some new folks.
Yep. And Sophie talked about maybe doing co-chair stuff, which makes it a little bit eeasier.
Right. Yeah,
Right,
I've offered to be a co-chair. Yep.
Yep. You and someone else. Okay, cool.
Maybe me and you, Nick.
Let's get that compensation part worked out before I commit to some giant time task.
There. Next item.
Yep.
Okay, and the last item that I've had added to the agenda is just there are a few light hotspot radio certifications that need to be reviewed and just approved in that spreadsheet. I put the spreadsheet there. That spreadsheet is private just because it has links to the manufacturers like certifications and stuff for the MCC. But if we can just get a few people to go in and just, grab a couple of them, look at them, make sure they look good, and just give like a thumbs up on them, then that way, once all of the light hotspot firmware is ready and set to go, then we don't have to hold up looking at radio certifications.
Yeah, let me, Christina and Christina and Keenan. I am working on a spreadsheet for Keenan to take a look at the certifications and pre-vet them.
Okay.
So let me commit to having that done sometime today. I want to run it by Brad and or Patrick to just get a read on it, but maybe we could start there. Keenan, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, works for me.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the FCC certification sheets, and it's a lot to look at when you're not familiar with it, but there's, the best way for you to get familiar is by looking at it.
Sure.
And you and I can spend some time together.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Going over it.
Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you, Sophie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, where's that list again?
Here, I'll put it in the chat as well.
Okay. Is it more than FCC?
Yeah, there are some CE, FCC, the UKCA. There's a couple of them in there.
Okay.
Primarily FCC and CE.
Okay, great. Yeah, Keenan, I'll grab some time on your calendar if that's all right. And
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So it's,
Okay.
Christina, it's everything from line 2 to 17? No, 2 to 11.
Yes, yeah, because the ones highlighted in green have already been approved.
Great.
And the ones after line 19, we're still waiting on certifications.
And on that sheet, it looks like Phil is on there, but I think Phil has said he's, I don't know, retiring himself from the committee. Is that right?
Yeah, so I guess that's also a point we should put that in here. That should have been up at the status updates from the beginning. But yeah, Phil has recused himself from his official MCC membership. He's still on like the Discord. So what I've talked to him about is still being part of it, just to add in, thoughts for discussion, but he's no longer a voting member. So that is also an option for people who want to stick around and still be a part of it, but don't have the time commitment in order to be like a voting member. John also have not heard from him. Hope he's doing well. Last I spoke to him, he was just not able to commit to the time. So he has also been removed as a voting member as of the 15th. And we will hope to add in some new members, hopefully at the end of next week. So that is all I have for the agenda items. Is there anything else before we end this call that anybody wants to add?
This is Brad Lane. Sorry, I was late joining. We do have draft outlines of the app notes. Actually, we have a call, I think, very shortly with the device solutions team who are writing those for us. So I'm going to send those out to Christine. I'll send them to you and Sophie. Maybe you guys can distribute them or put them in a shared location. But I think everybody on the committee should take some time to read those, because I think the better, more time we invest in these now, the easier it's going to be for everybody on the committee moving forward and not having to answer the same question over and over and over again with new manufacturers.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Just a one-line comment from last month. Jeremy referred to me when we were discussing some of the security requirements for, in particular, the secure bootload for the Magma Core and 5G. And I don't think I did a good job of explaining that it's really important to the legacy telecommunications world, if they're going to trust our network, that we take every precaution possible to ensure that what we're telling them is the truth. The points of presence we have are real and in the physical world and where we think they are, and that the information flowing through the network is secure and can be relied upon. We wouldn't want to spin up a scenario in which a carrier was billed for false packets, or in which their customer data was compromised due to some negligent security protocols. So I just wanted to reiterate why we are enforcing as a community and as the MCC more stringent security protocols. It's so that we can build a valuable network, and that's what we're all here to do. So that's all.
Thanks, Jameson. Appreciate that. I think that's it, unless anybody else has anything else that they want to add. Get no's. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Really appreciate it. Hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Talk to you all online.
Thanks. Ciao, ciao.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.